back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast, plus also as well inside sports fantasy football. Please go ahead and check out our latest episode because the guys from the Lakers Fast Break, Magic Man Sean Grice and Joe Soro, they stopped by to go ahead and give their thoughts on week 4 in the NFL for fantasy football owners out there. So go ahead and check that out today. Also, as well, speaking of Joe Soro, he is Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. Go ahead and support him there on that chat place extraordinaire for Lakers fans. Also, he has a company. You need to go ahead and check it out. He owns Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com. Also, as well, a big surprise for me just before we got on the air. We got an arrival of Laker Tom, the number one Lakers blogger that's out there. Go ahead and check out what work he's doing today on his own Medium column, or, of course, Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out what he's doing. Crazy trades, lineups, even more. Go ahead and check it out today. Plus, Lakerholics Spotlight this weekend. Go ahead and check it out as well, along with his good friend and compadre, the master of 5 things, Jamie Sweet at Lakerholics.com. Empire Jeff TV and the John McCallion channel, support them on YouTube each and every time out. They're great channels indeed. Empire Jeff has been covering the latest news and notes in the NBA, including the Damian Lillard trade. He had a great conversation last night, so check that out. Plus, also as well, speaking of subscribing, as you should to those great channels, please click on the little Joe Soro with the beady eyes right next to Laker Tom on the right-hand corner of your screen. If you're watching on YouTube, that way, if you click it, you're subscribed. Hey, yay, you're a subscriber. And you'll go ahead and get the latest notifications on when we go live with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcasts. Well, we're coming down to the home stretch, everyone, on our tour of NBA teams. Our team previews of all 30 NBA teams is coming to a close here. We're down to our final few. And of course, we can't have an NBA team preview without one of our awesome rivals. Just such a great time as far as in recent years that we've had some great battles, including last season in the playoffs. It is the Golden State Warriors, and the Golden State Warriors also coming off a recent championship run of their own, just like the Lakers. There's questions on age. There's questions on roster fit. There's questions all about with the Warriors, just like there is the Lakers and where they fit in the Western Conference. And here today to talk about that and also his thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers as well. Good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check out the awesome work he's done for so many different facets of the Warriors experience. But this time around, let's go Warriors. It is Rich too. Rich, great to have you here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to go ahead and check us out here at the Lakers Fast Break.
Pleasure. I'm honored. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you here. Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to this conversation because the Warriors and the Lakers are always easy conversations to have because, yes, they're, whatever you want to say about the media preferring those two teams and whatnot, but still with LeBron, AD, Steph, Clay, Draymond, the whole 9 yards, there's always a bunch of personalities to cover that are great to cover when you're talking about the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's you guys have made significant roster changes, and so have we. And can't wait to talk about them.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hit you up with the first question on that before I send it over to Sean and Laker Tom. And the fact is that Chris Paul is the latest big name signing to come over to you guys, whether you want to say it's him or his $30 million a year contract that's there. That's the reason why, whatever the meaning, whatever the idea behind that is. He's also been very insistent on that he's a starter. I guess the conversations with Steve Kerr has been trying to avoid the obvious elephant in the room as far as who is the starting five, because you can't put 6 players on the floor at the same time.
Right.
Your thoughts on this, my friend, as Chris Paul as an addition, and can he be a good fit for this team?
Yeah. Well, there were several factors in trading out Poole for CP3. So now you've got the long-term flexibility with CP's contract being non-guaranteed, and you were committed to Jordan Poole previously. Then you got the second apron stuff coming around the corner, so there was a transactional element to it, and the other thing was the big lesson learned this past season was that needed more vets and needed toughness, especially in the playoffs. Need a bucket, and can't make any mistakes. And one thing that Steve reiterated, was it yesterday, 2 days ago, maybe three? Just recently, they had Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr on the podium, and he reiterated that throughout history, Chris Paul has always found a way to find a bucket, whether it's him scoring or dishing it out to somebody. And so that kind of toughness, and he's a Hall of Fame player. And then we'll talk about who gets the start and the chemistry and all that. But I think that was the main thing, is that needed more vets in the locker room, take things a little bit more, I guess, for lack of a better word, veteran-like during the ups and downs of the regular season and the playoffs. Have that, I also joke that now you got Steph Curry. The way that he plays is a little bit wild sometimes, and then now there's a balance to that more so with Chris Paul. So it's just kind of like, you can't really stand still every single year unless you happen to win the championship last year. And you guys know that. We just saw Milwaukee do that today. So they jumped on that opportunity to make a change and give a little bit of a boost, because if you stay the same and you hadn't won the championship, you don't have that little emotional boost to really give you that drive to kick into the next season. So I think they did a good job, actually, and I'm excited to see how this plays out during training camp.
Also here today, good man indeed. He's the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to go ahead and talk to Rich 2 today in regards to the Golden State Warriors. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Magic Man, long time no see. A little less than actually around an hour. So I want to hear your thoughts, my friend, on this. When it comes to the questions that you might have, what pointed things did you want to go ahead first off and say to Rich 2 on the Golden State Warriors, my friend?
Yeah, Rich. So there's been a lot of conversation surrounding the starting five, so to speak. Um, the one ferocious rebounder that was a compounding headache for the Lakers was Kevin Looney. Kevon Looney was just a monster on the boards. Do you like the idea of him coming off the bench, or would you prefer him being a starter?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of him coming off the bench, and because that starting five of Steph, Clay, Wiggs, Draymond, and Looney is like, wasn't it like number one in terms of net rating?
That's right. It was.
Yeah.
It was, Rich.
So don't mess with that. And granted, CP3 is a competitive guy. He's gonna, he's probably wants to start. If he sees a basketball court, he sees himself as one of the 10 guys that's starting the game. But I think it's a little just overblown a little bit, honestly. They'll figure it out. And you know what? If it ends up that Steve decides that they're going to start small, I'd be shocked. Let's say, when do we play Denver? I don't even know, but first time regular season. I mean, really? Are we going to really throw a small lineup out there right off the bat against Jokic? He's going to have to explain it on the podium why he did that. But that just doesn't make any sense. And also, you'd be messing with the number one net rating lineup out there. So Steve usually doesn't mess with a good thing. And then also, I think it's just honoring the fact that CP3 is like a bulldog. You know, let's not just come into training camp having him labeled as the sixth man or off the bench. Let's just give him the respect, you know, that we're not even going to talk about that right now until we're all in the room on the gym floor over at Oracle Performance Center, and then we'll talk about it then. Just out of respect, I guess, is mainly the reason for the verbiage that we've been seeing.
All right. Sorry.
No, go for it, my friend. You got something else?
I just wanted to let everybody know. So the Warriors and Nuggets first meet November 8th. That's early on. And then their second meeting at the end of 2023 is Christmas Day.
Ooh, nice.
Yep.
Well, there you go, indeed. Also here today, good man indeed. Thank you, Sean, for that, by the way. It is Laker Tom, the #1 Lakers blogger that's out there, Lakerholics.com. Laker Tom is here. I got you on a later this evening type deal, which is rare for us, which is always greatly appreciated. Your thoughts, my friend, as Rich 2 is here to talk about the Warriors.
Well, it's kind of funny listening to Rich talk about how the Warriors basically decided that they needed more veterans in the locker room.
Yeah.
And watching that season, you can't help but agree with it, even though some of the veterans were part of the problems that were going on with the team chemistry. But sort of what that immediately brought to mind in my mind was something that I've been really focusing on lately with the Lakers, which is they didn't bring anybody within 9 years of LeBron James' age when they rebuilt this team. They got the 15th youngest team in the league, and they only got one guy who's 30 years old, which is Anthony Davis plus LeBron at 38. They brought in nothing but guys that are in their 20s. The other 13 players, 12 players are all in their 20s. And you're looking at that 15th player, and a lot of discussion is going on with the Lakers is, well, maybe we do need a veteran for the 15th player, you know. The perennial, as Gerald and I always battle, that 15th player who's never going to play but could have a real impact on the lineup, you know. Do you need, Biombo, for example, just as another body to throw at Jokic, even though Jokic eats him up? You need a guard so that you don't have to trust on Christie, a 20-year-old, to be your backup behind Reeves. And then there's the perennial, what happens with D'Angelo at the midseason? Is he really going to be gone? He's going to start now. They just announced that, no competition for starting point guard. It's just that fifth spot that'll be up for grabs. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested in what you think about this whole. The Lakers have obviously bet that their brand, their player development orientation of their coaching staff, their drafting, everything is geared toward getting guys who aren't yet at their prime and either trading for them or drafting them and developing a very young team. And they're hoping that that's a winning thing. Right now, they're probably the sixth best team in the league, maybe seventh, the way that, some of the trades are going. But their hope is that by the end of the year, with the development skills of their coaching staff, the quality of the talent of the young players.
Right, Tom. So, how do you think this relates to the Warriors and Rich?
Well, I wanted to see what Rich thought about it because it's a totally different direction than what the Warriors did. The Warriors wanted to get more veterans in the locker room and so forth, and the Lakers went the totally opposite direction. Kind of a weird cultural shift to do that in LeBron's 21st year.
Well, I think
I would have expected him to do what the Warriors did.
Yeah, there might be some salary cap considerations in terms of you had to pay to keep Austin, right? I don't follow the Lakers salary cap situation as closely as I do the Warriors, obviously. Yeah. And then I was just talking to my friend Mark, who I always
changed compared to you guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, our salary cap table is nuts.
400 million. I mean,
yeah. And then you guys paid Vando, which I thought was interesting. and I had a discussion with him on that. I mean, it's 12, 13 million a year, right? I mean, it's like not the forefront of conversations for anybody, but I was just curious as to how because wings in the NBA are important, right? And but then Vando doesn't shoot the three as well, and so but he's awesome on defense. So like they're sort of setting the market on that type of player.
No, they want a trading chip that has some value. That
there, yeah,
$5 million was nothing for him for $4 million
Yeah.
too, I think. So now he's got a nice size chip. It's a little bit under the MLE, so it's.
But Rich,
a lot of guys.
I think that you're right. I think at the end of the day, I think. By the way, I agreed with your synopsis there about why Kevon Looney should start. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I think they'll eventually just figure it out, though. Chris is a really smart basketball player, and if you theoretically did have him in the starting lineup, I might argue that might be the most intelligent starting five that you have ever. In NBA.
Yeah, but everybody argues it doesn't matter who starts, it's who finishes the game.
And
Chris would be better for finishing the game probably.
Yeah,
and fresh that you don't wear him out by starting him.
Right.
When you said that, Laker Tom, I was thinking if Clay was having the same game 6 again, then you'd sub out Clay and Chris Paul if he was having that same game 6 against you guys, right? Yep. So now you have that option to do that if necessary. So that.
Well, it's also two matchup. I've always loved Chris. Chris is just hell on teams that do drop coverage. He just eats it up. It's just so bad. It's just you get so tired of it, because he can get to the spot he wants, and and if he gets you on your hip and puts you in jail, it's an easy floater. And it's got to be frustrating for our centers. I like it that's the one thing that I like that Ham has done on our defense is when the big games are on the line, AD comes out, and challenges. He doesn't sit back there and make sure he's the lowest man in the post. But the Warriors are a weird team because they can play when Looney is playing great. They're a hell of a couple of big guys to deal with on that team, and yet they play this small ball stuff, which I think the Lakers. I'm really glad. I think everybody on our crew is glad the Lakers are moving away from having nothing but a bunch of small guards. We're so tired of being no wings and having guys shoot jumpers over us in the mid range over and over, and floaters because we play drop coverage, but we won't switch everything, which is what we should do just to help the drop coverage. But the Warriors basically, everywhere I look, the Warriors are ranked above the Lakers as to having better odds of winning the championship this year. And I don't see that flip myself. I think the Lakers.
Well, let me ask Rich this then. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there's still, even though we saw the results from the playoffs, why do you still think that in many circles, the Warriors are still picked ahead of the Lakers at this point in time?
I think it's respect for the Warriors.
Okay, yeah, there's that. And then,
hey,
you got three guys that have won more championships than any other trio running around.
Let's hear from Rich on this, though.
I was just about to say that it could be CP3's kind of brand name towards those odds makers. But usually I don't really pay attention to that stuff because it kind of ruins the actual experience of going through the season, but I'm sure a lot of people care about that though, because, we're in a gambling environment and stuff. So it is, while I say that it's not important, it is also important at the same time. But that would be my guess as to why the Warriors might have better odds. But we'll see. Like, we don't really know, right? All the things that Laker Tom was just talking about with CP3, it was like that was the first time that I've had to sit down really, and it's been the summertime, so I've got other stuff that I got to take care of. But the first time that I've actually sat there thinking, okay, well, CP3 in a Warriors uniform, what would that look like?
Yeah.
Envisioning that. I hadn't done that yet, and Laker Tom put that.
Well,
vision
and
to,
listen, guys always tell me, because I'm a person who really cares who starts. I was as a player. I was as a coach.
You weren't
and,
Frank Ramsey, Tom.
I mean,
Ramsey for the
listen,
Boston Celtics.
It matters to players, man. When you just say it, there's a few rare players where
You're
it
right.
doesn't. But
You're
generally
right.
speaking, man, you want to start at every level. That's how you measure how you are as a player. I'm best in the playground. I'm now best in the league. Now I'm best at this. Then you find out when you're not the best, and you get it taken to you. So the Lakers basically have so many question marks on their team, and so do the Warriors. And when you look at every one of these teams now, even when you look at the Bucks with Giannis and Dame, you got one guy who can't shoot, and you got another guy who can't defend. I mean, there's all these combinations. There's nobody that doesn't have flaws, man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to come down to who has the best team, the most versatility to be able to, for everybody who's in their path, figure out how they're going to beat them. The big teams, the small teams, the fast teams, the slow teams, the good defenders, the bad defenders. One of the strengths I think the Lakers have two strengths that I think will make them they're a number 6 team now, will get them up to be 1 or 2 by the end of the year. And that's basically their diversity and their depth and their youth. That's 3 things. Bad comment.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and bring Laker Nick into the conversation. Laker Nick, great to have you here, my friend. Also a great appearance to see you this late in the evening as well. Great to have you as always. Any questions for Rich True out there as far as Rich 2 from Let's Go Warriors and a whole bunch of stuff that he's done before with the Warriors experience. But Rich 2 for the Let's Go Warriors is here. What questions did you have for him, Laker Nick?
Yeah, thanks, Gerald, and salute Tom, Magic Man, and it's great to speak with you, Rich. Rich, I actually, to focus the conversation on a couple of specific players on the Warriors roster, I am always been interested and intrigued by Jonathan Kuminga and Moody. And I saw a stat actually earlier this week that there's only 3 players that have been with the same team since the 2012-2013 season, and that's obviously Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with the inclusion of players like Kuminga and Moody, I know that their play has been sporadic, maybe at times unsatisfactory. But do you actually see those 2 players as part of the Warriors' future? How do you see those players fitting in the coming season?
Yeah, I absolutely do see JK and Moody as part of the future and part of the, hopefully they're still Warriors when Steph, Clay, and Dre retire in the future, whenever that may be. It could be 5 years from now or something like that. And by then they'll be like grizzled vets. But yeah, JK. So just trying to think back to last season, JK really, man, I'm just thinking I should really do an X's and O's analysis of this. But in the playoffs, there was that one game, I want to say it was early in the series against the Kings, where and we pointed it out as it was happening, because we have our Manning cast type of live streams on Let's Go Warriors. It's like, what is he doing? He's looking at the ball going, being shot. He's not rebounding. And then, oh my gosh, he didn't do the 0.5 basketball, move that ball to Dre. It's like it took him a little bit while. And it's like, you can't be doing that here against the Kings. So leading up to that, Jonathan had those flashes during the regular season, and very enticing, right? And then facing the Lakers, we're like, okay, things are a little bit stagnant for us. Why don't you, Steve, why don't you throw in JK real quick and just change it up a little bit, because this is not working right now. But I think we saw a little bit of, I guess, longer term. I guess Steve has that ability to be in the moment and yet we'll just roll with it, and he could turn out to be a genius coach in terms of not playing JK at all in the Lakers series, and just maintaining the fact that you really need to figure out that you're one, just like Looney figured out. Your one thing that you've got to do is rebounding if you want minutes. And that is going to, I don't care how desperate we are, how far behind in the series we are with the Lakers, you just need to rebound. And so I think that'll help JK. And then you'll get that on-court sort of same type of coaching, if you will, from CP3 now that he's added to the mix. So there's a lot of talk, even when Kerr was on the podium the other day, saying that he thinks that CP can unlock JK. And now with Moody started out with a rocky regular season and then had a pretty solid playoffs. And the regular season was just, man, we all want to just forget about that because it was just a mess of things. Like Laker Tom said, one thing that a lot of Warriors pundits never point the finger at is Steph. And Steph was making some really unnecessary turnovers on that 0-5 road trip. I specifically remember it was just kind of, we were just coming off a championship, then the parade, then you had Japan. We had to go to Japan. And then ironically, that ring night, opening night against the Lakers, right? Whoever wins ring night, you go out there and you're just, you're thinking about your ring, but we won the game and we kind of got away with that. You guys, you were a completely different team by the time you had Vando, right? So that was a totally different Lakers of the past. So that was a Laker team that could actually lose a ring night, opening night game, right?
Right.
So anyway, Moody had to go through all these things, and he's just along for the ride. And then now you got to go in there, play some defense, box out, and hit the open three. And he seemed to do that in the playoffs. So I think that can carry over to this season, whereby we can just forget about his regular season last season. And this is the Moody that we know. And that's the Moody that will continue to get from now until the next 5 years.
Once again, it is Rich too. Please go ahead and support him today at Let's Go Warriors and all the great things that he does, including his X/Twitter/ whatever it wants to call itself today. Follow him at Poor Man's Commish right there for you. I have just clicked on following, so I am now following, and
thanks.
you should too. Go ahead and make sure you
follow
support
you
him
back.
today. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. And also, Let's Go Warriors as well. Magic Man, have you got some more questions for Rich too on the Warriors? I've got one after you, my friend. Then we'll go with Tom and Laker Nick once again.
Yeah. Rich, one of our great draft experts, Stone Hansen, was talking about how much he loved Brandon Podziemski, and he absolutely loved the pick for the Warriors. I had a little bit of a bumpy summer league, but I mean, who the hell doesn't in summer league, right? How do you think he fits in to the front court? Because he's got a lot of really finely tuned athletic skill. It just seems like if he gets the right coaching and development, he could be a special kind of player.
Yeah, I think he's got the right mindset. He seems to be of the bulldog type too. And I follow all these guys on Instagram, and occasionally he'll post I think he does this on Twitter as well. If you just go to his account, you can tell he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He wants to snap back at the haters and stuff. Just based on all the reasons why they drafted him, the ability to hit the three and play make, which we saw in Summer League. He wasn't able to really finish as well. And so all of that just really means that he's a long-term prospect, but then the fact that he's a tough guy, and you saw them start to draft more of that kind of mentality also with Trace Jackson Davis. So
Rich, I was gonna say, the there was another pretty good, although he's in the front court, there was another pretty good little guard who could shoot the three and play make that went to Santa Clara too. He went by the name of Steve Nash.
Yeah.
So maybe Brandon, maybe Pod here has a little bit of Steve Nash in him. That would be a hell of a pick.
Yeah, I like how B Pod's his passing ability. I really like that. But let's face it, he's not going to have any minutes probably at all. So he's going to spend a lot of time in G League, which is great because it makes the Santa Cruz Warriors more exciting. And that's just part of the development process that the Warriors have shown the last few years, is that's just what happens. So you're going to go down, assuming there's no injuries, knock on wood, right? So that's obviously next man up, but he should shine in G League. So that's a fun ticket to have down in Santa Cruz, to be honest with you.
Once again, it is Rich True. Please go ahead and support today at Let's Go Warriors, right there for you. I wanted to go ahead and ask a question, but I'll let Bloodhound go ahead and ask my question. How do you see CP3 fitting into the team? Most likely coming off the bench, most likely running the second unit. How effective, like I said earlier, how effective do you think he really will be in that format? Do you think he'll buy in, and do you think he'll become, possibly one of the contenders for Sixth Man of the Year because of it?
You asking me?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking you might have been asking Laker Nick for a bit right there. I don't know why I thought that, but
no worries.
We've been through this actually. Andre Iguodala. So there's precedent there for Steve to manage something like this. And hey, I think that's all part of what's happening right now. Is Steve not committing to saying one thing or another? Is we may be wrong into thinking that, you'll be the next Andre Iguodala type to change your role. Prove us wrong. We don't want to quench that fire. I mean, if CP3 goes bonkers in a couple preseason games in the first quarter, then you got to really think about it. So to just leave all options open, but realistically, I think we're going to see him just like what Andre Iguodala did, just kind of put his ego in check and go, I still haven't won a championship.
It's too bad that these guys wouldn't just say, why don't we just have 6 starters, really, and just rotate depending on what the matchup is.
That's a good idea.
I mean,
I think that might be a possibility. Yeah.
You never see them do that in the NBA, and it's because of the stars don't want to. There's 5 starters. I don't want to be a 1-6 starter.
Well, Tom,
the Warriors starter,
The Warriors statistically had one of the best starting fives of last season. Do you really want to mess with that?
I know, but Chris Paul's never come off the bench.
Hey, Rich, I was just thinking, one of the problems I think that JK had in his first couple of years was understanding that even though you don't have the ball in your hands all the time, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not supposed to get to your spot and score, right? And instead of thinking about having the ball in his hands all the time, I actually think CP3 is going to be good for him because he's going to be able to put him in spots where he's most comfortable shooting and other spots where he is comfortable with the ball in his hands. So I'm with Laker Tom. I think it there's more of a mentorship here as well with Chris. He's 38 years old. He's been in the NBA a long time. And look, let's face it, Rich. A lot of was made about Draymond punching Jordan Poole in the face.
Yep.
And, I'll just say this. It's not unprecedented. 20 years ago, the Jailblazers had an incident where Zach Randolph had enough of Ruben Patterson, punched him in the face, and actually
Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis did the same thing.
Some guys deserve to be punched in the face, to be honest
That's
with you.
to be honest, Rich. I don't think we'll ever know what was said, but just knowing Draymond's background, and I know for a lot of people who may not understand this, is that his mother was a prison guard, and he learned to have discipline. And yes, he expresses himself verbally, Rich, but he could back it up. And I think whatever was said between him and Jordan Poole should stay in there. And I'm glad the Warriors did that. They really didn't try to make much ado about nothing. Like, this is our problem. Stop asking us about it. Let's talk about basketball. I got to be honest, Rich. I expect there might be a little bit of conflict between CP3 and Draymond at some point in the season.
Okay.
But that always happens. It always happens. It happened with the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe.
Draymond's not going to punch out Chris.
No. That's kind of what I'm saying here. And Rich kind of made that point that these are men.
Like
these are men. These are
oil
not
and vinegar
like,
getting mixed. You know,
yeah,
I mean, there's
like
certain players that.
Right, Tom, like younger men who can't control themselves. So do you kind of see that discipline benefiting the Warriors, Rich? Even though it may look like they're still small, right? Do you think that discipline would actually benefit the team?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're already seeing Draymond and CP3 have chemistry, and we haven't even started training camp. They did the workout down in LA. They even have Dwight there, right? Joined them. We can talk about that in a minute. And
were you in favor of the moving Poole? Did you feel that had to be done, Rich?
Yeah. At the end of the season, I will admit, it's you grow attached to the guys, and in my opinion, Western Conference semifinals, that's still pretty good, and you always think that, JP can play better. He can, he's got another level to this, and that was a learning experience. But at the same time, you balance that with reality, which is in the NBA, they make changes because they know you can't stay the same all the time, and you really can't get too attached to the last team that you had, unless you just won the championship and you kind of owe the players.
Maybe that was the last. Maybe that was the last gasp. That last championship. Look at what's happening around the league. All of a sudden, we had this big discussion. Everybody was saying that 2 stars is all you need. 3 stars, basically, you can't do it because you just don't have enough left over. Well, right now we've got like 3 or 4 teams that have got 3 stars.
Yeah.
That's going to change what the Lakers do at midseason, I believe. What do you think effect is going to be on the Warriors at midseason? And could you see them breaking up the big 3? Or could you see them moving CP3 in order to get rid of he's a salary filler that could be very important.
Yeah. If CP doesn't work out, then we have the option of doing something. Yeah. But as far as keeping Steph, Clay, and Dre, we're keeping them 3 together. There's no doubt. That's 100%.
Mm-hmm. So let me get.
That's what $400 million tells me.
Yeah, that's true.
Back to your original question on the Poole trade. Yeah, you just had to do something. And the other thing is CP was available. It's like, vet, Hall of Famer, let's jump on that. And you have to pay a price for that. And they actually did. It wasn't straight up. We also gave them a couple pieces and maybe a couple, second round picks of some sort of that nature.
But when Chris got the news when he was flying across country that he'd been traded and all of a sudden wasn't going to be a minimum player, that had to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me ask. Let me get Laker Nick in here real quick. Nick, what you got for Rich 2?
Hey, Rich. Great insights. Thanks for jumping on again.
No problem.
One thing that I'm obviously just taking a look at the Warriors roster for next season. Obviously, a glaring hole here is a lack of size, right? And going back to your earlier comment about touching on the Dwight Howard topic,
Yeah.
How do you see? First of all, like, did you want Dwight Howard or not? And second of all, do you see that hole of a lack of size being filled sometime before the trade deadline, or do you think that this group will try to tread water until February and see what they could get in the market?
Yeah. Okay. Man, it just depends on what day of the week it is, because with I'm a little different. We try and do things a little different at Let's Go Warriors. I saw today on Instagram somebody in the basketball world posted the Ted Lasso, and he's playing darts, and he said he's always been a curious person rather than a judgmental person. So I'm talking to some just yesterday, just randomly happened to talk to an insider with knowledge. So I get to give you guys a little scoopage here. So he had a little inside knowledge of the whole Dwight situation. And Steph and Draymond, at the very least, and CP3, they expected the Warriors to sign Dwight. It seemed like that made sense. He had a great workout. He's Dwight's body apparently is just in incredible shape. Lost 10 pounds. Said all the right things and had the right mentality. He's a soldier. And I don't care if you don't play me, I'm just going to do my job. Goes down there and has the workout with Draymond and CP3. Everything's hunky dory. Everyone's expecting him to be a Warrior pretty soon. But then the report comes out that they've passed on Dwight. And so yesterday I'm sitting here and I'm talking to this insider, and he's giving me all this stuff like, we're giving up like 60% on floaters and stuff. I mean, these are some analytics that directly point to needing a guy like Dwight. And I'm just thinking about it. I'm going, is he really going to play minutes? And you don't want to wear down Looney. You want to, even if Dwight's in there for 4 or 5 minutes over the course of 82, do we really think Looney's going to play 82 again? That kind of thing. Draymond even wants to kind of have longevity throughout the 82 game season. And so he liked the thought of having Dwight in there to spell those two out in that rotation at the 5. So then I'm thinking, okay, then why is Steve really that stubborn, or what's going on? And then Dunleavy goes onto the podium and says, well, we have 5 centers that we can play in training camp. So I kind of think it's like wait and see on the center position. I always thought that before the Dwight rumor came out, I always thought that they need an extra wing, whatever that may be. JT, I'm a wing guy. Like I covet Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? Those types of things. I've always liked Robert Covington way back in the day, which, by the way, another scoop is the Warriors. When Covington was at his peak in Philadelphia, the Warriors loved Covington. Always wished there was a way to bring him on. So why? But then you again, the obvious, the eye test is the Warriors are small. So then today I got to thinking, well, maybe what if, and we'll never know, right? What if they just signed Usman Garuba to the 2-way, and they were just telling me, yeah, you got a chance to be, Draymond's backup and all that. And then you go and sign Dwight. What kind of message does that send? Bam, bam, like that. We don't know if it was that, but I try to be curious and try to leave open the possibility, because honestly, Steve Kerr has forgotten a whole lot more basketball than I know. Right. And I just like to sit back and see what happens. And yeah, there's still time. There could be an injury again, knock on wood. And we just got to see this team play. And Steve was raving about Dario Saric on the podium the other day. So how does he fit? And Steve obviously sees Saric with the ability to play the 5 on defense. So let's just see how it works. And it's going to take a few regular season games to figure that out too. So by December we'll have a good idea of what kind of identity this team will have. So I'm just gonna see what happens, and I'm not gonna get too riled up because logic would dictate that you would have signed Dwight and he was willing to do the non-guaranteed, or even just training camp, but that didn't happen. So let's see what happens, and maybe they made a mistake. We don't know.
Once again, it is Rich 2 from Let's Go Warriors. Go ahead and check out him and his great show on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. But also, please follow him today on Twitter/X as well. Laker Nick, let me bring it over because I was going to bring it to Laker Tom. Or actually, Sean, I'm sorry. Sean, that was very rude of me. It's to go ahead, my friend. Any questions for Rich?
Not rude at all, Gerald. It's you're moderating. We all know moderating is like juggling like 7 different balls while trying to have 2 hemispheres
Well, I was
working at
thrown
the
off
same
by
time.
I was thrown off by Laker Tom leaving. He has vacated the
Well,
premises right now, and
maybe I can throw it back. Can I throw up?
Of course.
Magic Man doesn't have a question, but can you tell me about Dwight? What was it, 2020?
Yes.
Talk to me about Dwight 2020.
All right. So, you know what, Rich? Dwight 2020 was actually a likable surprise.
Yeah.
His role fit very nicely. Both him and JaVale split their time at center. Some games, like you were saying before, some games Dwight was getting the lion's share of the minutes, and then other nights JaVale was. It came to a point where Vogel kind of preferred Dwight for the lion's share for a good portion of the season, sans foul trouble. And despite not playing a lot in the first round, Rich, against Houston, they actually remained very focused, and neither one of them was sulking or pouting, which was a reputation of JaVale's, obviously, when he was in Washington, not so much when he was with Golden State and matured as a player and a man. And but Dwight as well. Dwight showed a lot of maturity, and it seemed like his role fit like a glove, Rich. And unfortunately, during that free agency period, he preemptively thought that him and the Lakers had reached a deal, and he had voiced his joy on Twitter, but I guess his agent told him to take the tweet down because the deal hadn't been finalized yet. And, yeah, it fell through. But that had nothing to do with Deutsch's performance. It was Rob going in a completely different direction. But I would say, the Dwight you described there, Rich, 10 pounds lighter, in the best shape, obviously in really good shape. Dwight's still a big man, so his ability to set screens, just on that alone would be essential for the Warriors, and I would say imperative in the playoffs, Rich, because if they had a big body like Dwight, I don't think the Kings would have lasted 7 games. I think the Warriors would have beaten them in about 5 or 6. So I really do think that if that's the Dwight Howard as described, the Warriors may have found a solution to the issue. And just to add on to the Usman Garuba, Rich, he may be a diamond in the rough. I saw him play for Spain in the FIBA tournament. Spain both played him and Santi Aldama at the same time. So that's how much they trusted his shooting. He's a really great outside shooter. And remember this, Rich, even though he's been passed around a little bit in the NBA, Sam Presti is the guy who drafted him.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I like it.
So when you look at certain guys and where they've ended up, where did they start? Who are they from? The Spurs organization? Are they from the Warriors organization? Are they from the Pacers, the Lakers? Like, these are teams now who are known for developing their draft picks and excelling
and having a lot of them.
and excelling at scouting. So
Yeah.
don't be surprised if Garuba turns some heads, Rich.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, and the one last thing on Dwight, I was told by someone knowledgeable that, the tweet that he had after the Warriors passed on him, where he talked about I'm a Warrior and Warriors in caps, all caps. I was told that Dwight's always been like that. So it was less. It looked bad.
He did the same thing with the Lakers,
Yeah, but it was more like, okay, they turned the page on me. I'm a Warrior. I'm gonna keep going. So it was less a shot at the Warriors than it was
Right, more tongue in cheek. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
So I'll ask you this. One of the issues I still think with the Warriors, I mean, people talk about the age issues, and you can either say it's experience, whatever, what have you. I think is what Magic Man alluded to is the size issue. The fact that you guys are still a very small team on that. Does that concern you at all throughout the regular season and playoffs if you have a matchup against a big team with some size like the Lakers, Memphis, Denver, somebody who could throw some size at you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. However, I haven't actually done the rotation spreadsheet that kind of Mike Brown made famous over at the Warriors. Is there really minutes for Dwight? Can we get away with a few minutes here? I'm not sure. I haven't done the rotation, and so again, it's just kind of, we'll see what happens. Roll out the ball and let's play 25 regular season games and see where we're at with this. And I think maybe there's some more confidence by the front office that they can swing a deal if necessary, and that taking the Lakers as an example, it's very doable because look at you guys, kind of dead in the water, boom, boom, boom. It was a brand new team almost by the trade deadline, and there you guys go off to the.
But you're still in the same boat as the Lakers, though, because we only go as far as LeBron and AD are going to carry us, and you guys are only going to go as far as Steph and Clay can carry you.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopefully, you hope that you just hope everybody's healthy, but it seems harder and harder now to. I mean, every championship, you can look back and say that injuries, basically, at least the last 5 championships, haven't been between the best 2 teams at the end.
Yeah, are you guys like super concerned by LeBron's foot and AD?
No, I'm not. I'm not, except that it's just.
I am, Rich. I am. Yeah.
I'm the plus guy. They're the minus guys.
Yeah,
he's not 23 years old anymore, Tom. But
no, I know. But nobody else at 38 has done what he's doing.
Rich, I understand where Tom's coming from as well. It's so tenuous.
The wheels will have to fall off for me to believe they will fall off.
And Rich, unlike Kobe being Bryant, God rest his soul, you can't have LeBron playing 36 minutes a night now and trying to guard the other team's best perimeter player.
Not when you've got a 12-man rotation that can't even play everybody.
He can do it for stretches, Rich. Still, he puts his mind to it. He can accomplish that. But yeah, the inevitability we feel, Rich, is that unfortunately AD is going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Now, if it's stretched out, if he misses a week here, a week there, it doesn't look as bad. But we're used to, he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks, 4 to 6.
Yeah, but I keep hearing LeBron has come into camp just buoyant and playing like a youngster. And
don't we hear that every year?
Feeling that well, how he's.
But
he's not going to dial. He's not going to dial back to threes.
Tom, let me ask you this. Let me say this. Doesn't every player coming into camp come in the best shape of their lives?
Yes.
Well, James Harden.
There's an
He-
exception
after-
to the rule, Tom.
Well,
No,
is it-
listen,
did- wasn't
and
he just
everybody
commented
shows
on-
those off-season videos of how they've worked out so well, how their
Yeah.
body looks so lean, you
But
know. And I mean, even the most amateur can take a
But-
photo and take Photoshop and make some enhancements.
Rich,
But-
I think a lot of basketball fans should, coming into this year especially, think about how special this is that Steph is 35,
Yeah.
LeBron is
There's a
39.
changing of the guard coming.
It's
You're
coming-
right, Sean.
it's
coming fast.
It's coming fast. It felt really fast.
Yeah.
It felt really fast, man. I looked at it today. Steph is 35. Like it was
Yeah.
only yesterday. Felt like he was 27, 28.
Yeah.
And time flies. This is an end of. I'm not sure if we'll ever see an era like this again, Rich.
Sure, we will.
We may.
We'll probably
we
be
may.
the old farts that won't admit that,
Yeah.
Well, let
the
me-
young
let's
kids
hear
saying,
from-
"Who is LeBron James and Michael
Yeah.
Jordan,
It could
Well, let's
be.
hear
Kobe
from Rich on
Bryant,
that.
those
And-
guys?"
Well,
Yeah,
let's hear
it's
from Rich on that, and then we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and
It's
bring it
so-
over to Laker Nick.
So
Go
what
ahead,
do you
Sean.
think about that, Rich? It seems like it's an end of an era.
Oh, and not only that, you heard the news that Chase Center is going to be probably the All-Star game 2025, right? And man, Steph and LeBron hopefully will be there. It's going to be just epic in terms of, that'll be talked about. What you just brought up, Magic Man, that they're going to start talking about that more and more. And then boom, we got that All-Star game in 2025.
Unless they all do the Olympics and
because-
retire.
What
Together.
I
Olympics next next
what
summer.
what I
Yeah.
appreciate so much, Rich, about the NBA and why I love it so much is the greatness, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what I mean. Like, Ray Allen was the best shooter that I ever saw, and up until Steph
Yeah.
Curry came into the NBA, Rich, he's probably the best shooter that ever walked God's green earth. But Steph's the greatest shooter ever, Rich. There will never be another Steph
Yeah.
Curry. He revolutionized the game of basketball again after one Magic Johnson did it, and then Michael Jordan did it, and now
Yeah.
Steph is in that.
No, they didn't even understand what the 3-point shot was before Steph.
So yeah,
Right.
it does feel like greatness is coming to an end, and you got to
Yeah.
appreciate it while it's here, Rich.
Oh,
So-
absolutely. Absolutely.
But in 5 more years, it's totally possible that LeBron James and Steph Curry will still be playing. It's not impossible.
True. Oh, what about the whole LeBron wants to play with his son? I mean, that's been a little bit.
See, I'm one of those people that say that's got a bad thing for his son. I wouldn't interfere with my son's
Which
career.
son?
Yeah,
Which
Rich.
son?
Yeah, and which son
Yeah,
is the
which
other
son,
unfortunately,
exactly.
unfortunately, Bronny, we know, suffered.
But it is fun to
a
play
car-
with your kid. I mean, any father who's got a kid.
Bronny
Man.
suffered a very serious cardiac event.
Yeah, but it doesn't even sound like they're going to need to put a pacemaker in for him or anything, which is surprising.
Yeah, you never know though, Tom. I do remember.
He's back at practice, I heard.
I'm
I heard he was
sure. I'm
back.
sure everybody remembers the story of Isaiah Austin. Isaiah Austin was a center out of Baylor. Wanted to be
Yeah, I
drafted
wanted him
into
for
the
the Lakers.
NBA, and unfortunately, I believe it was an ultrasound. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gerald, but I believe it was an ultrasound.
Yes.
Revealed he had a enlarged heart and Marfan
Saved his life,
syndrome.
probably.
And it did, Tom. Yeah, it
Yes,
did.
yes. But I was also
So-
talking about Bryce, the future for Bryce, because Bryce, even
Yeah.
before the obviously terrible thing that
Mhm.
happened to Bronny, Bryce is projected to probably be the better player long term,
Right?
and he's not that
Oh,
far
okay.
behind Bronny as far as
Yeah.
that. It's all early speculation
Yeah.
right now. But they,
Well, he's.
you know,
I think he's still a sophomore in high school.
he's still
I
a
think.
sophomore in high school, but he's projected to be taller, but he's also a
Right.
little bit more athletically gifted. But let me go ahead and make sure
That's 3 more years, unless they change. Well, considering the new CBA, that's 3 more years.
You never know, Tom. You never know.
Well,
you never
yeah,
know. But
right.
let's go ahead and finish up our thoughts from Rich, because I really am intrigued to hear what he thinks about the Lakers. And I'll start off the questions with Laker Nick. Laker Nick, let's get you back in here, my friend. Truly appreciate your patience. Want to go ahead and hear your thoughts with Rich and what you think that he might be thinking about when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers?
Right. No, thanks, Gerald. Yeah, Rich. Actually, I had one more question, and I'd love to get your thoughts
Please,
just
yeah, go
generally.
ahead and finish that too. Absolutely. Yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
All by all
yeah,
means.
yeah, Rich. Generally, I always obviously would like your thoughts on how you see the Lakers shaping up this season, but you actually anticipated the question I had regarding the Warriors, and that was concerning their rotation. If I look at the depth chart, I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like the core of Curry, Clay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green. I think those four guys are probably surefire starters. Chris
Yep.
Paul is a question mark, and then the center position, I guess it's going to be split between Kevon Looney and Dario Saric. I should add that Gary Payton the second is on the team, and hopefully he's able to get some of his bounce back. But I actually find their depth or their rotation obviously not set in stone, but more or less solidified just based off last season, which
Yeah.
is a difference from what the current Lakers have. I mean, we have a lot of starting lineup combinations. Laker Tom has been saying that he sees up to like 7, maybe 9 different combinations that could actually be viable starting lineups for the Lakers. And
Mhm.
so, anyways, I just thought I'd get your thoughts or your commentary on the Golden State Warriors, their depth, and also your general impressions of how you see the Lakers as shaping up this next season.
Yeah, I think just as you were talking, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve and the coaching staff were, secretly giddy about that rotation because everybody forgets about Gary Payton the second, and he's a key piece.
He's a key piece to winning that championship.
Winning that
You wouldn't have won it without him.
And so the defense win championships mantra fits that mold. And he was on Steve was on the podium the other day talking about the combination of Wiggins and GP2. So and then Steve's also very excited about Saric, big body, pass the ball, dribble handoff type of abilities and good passer. So he's secretly giddy about Saric as well. And the fact that you have the 2022 championship rotation that includes GP2 off the bench, also includes JK a little bit and Moody, you could say. You could throw them kind of into that equation. And then to add to the mix are these two veterans, CP and Saric. That's a pretty good chemistry problem to deal with. I think the learning curve isn't going to be as bad as it was last season for sure. But this is kind of a coach's dream, right? In terms of the learning curve to achieve chemistry towards an identity. So I think they're pretty excited about that. And as far as the Lakers, man, like what we do at Let's Go Warriors is we're so granular about the Warriors. Oftentimes our weakness is we don't really know much about the other teams until we see them. But I just remember, not having an answer for AD, right? It's just what are we still gonna do about AD? And so as long as you have a healthy AD and LeBron, and then man, I think the majority of even casual Warriors fans have the utmost respect for Austin Reeves. We're looking at Austin Reeves. He outplayed Clay. I mean, think about that. Who would have ever said that? Who would have
Not
ever
us.
predicted that?
Not us, Rich. That was
And,
a surprise too.
And I've got that when Vando is out there smothering one of our guys. He was covering Steph.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of, I like those wings, those long wings. I know you ideally
he's
you want
got
him to shoot
those.
threes, but
One thing I love about him, Rich, is he's got those pterodactyl arms. It's like he's really really long, and he's got quick feet too, which helped him against both John Morant and Steph because I'm not sure if you read his comments, Rich, but Jared Vanderbilt said it was like I was guarding 2 Stephs, not 1. I was running around chasing 1 Steph,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then I had to
That was a great
defend the
quote.
Steph that was the shooter.
Can you imagine doing that for a whole game? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
We had jelly legs just from doing that alone, Rich. Austin had no legs. Jared Vanderbilt had no legs. That's why we got mauled on the boards in those first 2 games against Denver, Rich. It was your team and chasing that legend around because it's like guarding 2 players. I don't think, Rich, there are some players, I believe, in the NBA that you can really only appreciate if you see them live.
Yeah.
And if you have an opportunity to see Steph Curry in person, you should take that opportunity.
Mhm.
It's like guarding 2 players. It's uncanny.
And
Well,
then
he reinvented a whole new way of playing basketball, which is pass the ball and reposition for your shot. I mean,
Right.
nobody ever did that before. That was just totally revolutionized the game. I mean, the last thing you want to do is have that guy get rid of the ball, because then he can go anywhere, do anything, you know?
To Magic Man's point, inside the arena, you can feel the anticipation when he gets the ball and launches a 3, and when he makes it and he hits 2 or 3 in a row, it's like nothing else in the history of basketball.
Yeah.
Inside the arena. So he's got that, showmanship factor. But going back to the Lakers, it's so I was just thinking of the players that you have, and it's hard for me to just see the whole system working with you guys, but obviously LeBron and Rui. It's like Rui's hit that mid-range, you're like, dang it, as a Warriors fan. But then D'Lo, right? Because we've had D'Lo, and like when D'Lo starts to go on a slump or he's making mistakes, you're like, oh yeah, please let that become, more. Let that spread like a virus on your squad. But he did a good job of just accepting his role that he wasn't playing well that night, and then it was Dennis Schroeder. Oh, how are you guys gonna? Who replaces?
Who's going to replace Schroeder?
Yeah,
nobody.
Yeah, Nick,
That's why they need to. That's why they need to switch everything.
Rich, if we play you guys again, we won't have Dennis Schroeder and we won't have Lonnie Walker the 4th.
Right. Oh man, Lonnie. Oh gosh.
But we will have Christian Wood, Cam Reddish,
Right. Okay.
Tayshaun Prince. You can go down the line,
Torian Prince, yeah, and
Torian Prince. Hayes,
but that leads me
Jackson
into
Hayes.
A question from our audience, and then also a final question from me before we head on out. The question from our audience is from Kurt Affair. He was asking about the importance of 2 individuals we didn't talk about already, Kuminga and Moody. Tell us how important it is for them to finally develop into major contributors for this team this season.
Okay, so I'll start with Moody, because Moody is kind of like Andre Iguodala 2.0. You want him to come in and just do everything right, be spider-like on defense, and then just knock down that open 3 like you've got, ice in your veins, and distribute the ball to the right person at the right time. So he has the potential to do that because he's so mature. And for what's going to be a third-year player, he's ahead of schedule. So there's a lot of high hopes that he can kind of take that role more in the future as we go. So kind of that wing / guard. All right. Then with JK, what Draymond's label of JK last season of fence bender, that's JK. So every team needs that fence bender. Now, of course, we've got Steph, which is he can just blow the roof off of an arena. But then again, you need another guy out there, and sometimes it's Wiggins, right? He had that dunk over Luka. But JK, he's just a superhero flying in for a rim rocker and just destroying that rim, So as a fence bender, Man, no way can you trade him. I know there's some speculation out there of Drew Holiday for JK and blah blah blah. First of all, we're not getting Drew Holiday because we have the CP3 contract. It's like contract wise, the Drew Holiday contract doesn't give us the flexibility just in case shit happens, right? But back to JK. Wow. You want to keep a guy like that because as Steph starts to ride off into the sunset, who's the guy that's going to blow the roof off of the arena? And that's JK.
Oh, absolutely. So the last
You think
question,
they're not going to? You don't think they're going to do anything to cut their payroll from the $400 billion?
No, I've never thought that.
Because I mean, one guy, if you cut a guy who makes 20 million, that probably saves them 60 or 70 million.
Yeah, that Chase Center is a cash cow. If they throw a concert in there on a Tuesday night, and you're covering.
Well, I know they listen. One of the things you have to admire and respect about the Warriors is that I don't know how many years the Knicks held the number 1 spot and the Lakers the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
Value of NBA franchises, they just catapulted completely over both of them.
Joe Lacob knows what he's doing.
Listen, I've been one of the Laker fans who basically has been screaming for the front office to do a lot of the things that the Warriors front office and coaching staff do. I like the way the Warriors play. I like the way the front offices run things. So they have a great deal of respect from me. And I really do think that the Lakers in their own way are doing something to straighten out their identity and having a vision that makes some sense and it gets everybody on the same page. And that's something that the Warriors have proven, that you can have those huge taxes and everything else and still come out way ahead because of the value of your franchise. The Lakers sort of forgot why they were worth those billions of dollars. And,
you guys.
The Warriors, I think they got a wake up. They got a wake up call because nobody talks about Jeannie Buss's valuation versus, let's say, Joe LaCobb's valuation of the team that he's taken charge of. There's a big difference there. So the Warriors need to be congratulated, and I'm hoping that the big three stay together, and I'm hoping that they stay healthy. It'd be a good challenge for the Lakers to beat them again.
But you wanted to interject something real quick. I know that you wanted to interject with something there, Rich.
Yeah, we've always, ever since the Cohan era, we've always had that sort of, it's not jealousy. It's just, it's the little level of hatred that you guys are Hollywood, and you can always attract that superstar out to Hollywood. So it's good to have this Lacob represent Silicon Valley venture capitalism and have our own style of running a franchise.
And we're stuck with the family business where 5 or 6 cooks get into the office in the back and figure out what the hell they're going to do.
Yeah, it's fun to just kind of see how these two paradigms collide, and then on the court and stuff. And it's just,
it's going to be a contrast in style because I think the Lakers are going to play very big. They have increased their size dramatically.
I was going to say, you mentioned
they want to play big, and the Warriors. Kerr wants to play small. I don't care who he's got. Right. He wants to play small.
It's just a manifestation of Steph and Clay too. So you have those two guys, and they're not the most muscular.
Why wouldn't you if you had those two guys?
If you had this
but you can play those two guys with any 3 guys. You can play those 2 with any 3.
And
I mean, Clay and Bennett how to score without dribbling. How can you score as a perimeter player without dribbling? I mean, that's incredible. 2 guys that created their own games.
And then you clash that with you guys with LeBron and AD, and then I guess all these long guys, right? You just named a few other. Are you guys the longest team in the NBA?
Pretty close. I think we had 9 guys with a 7-footer greater.
I think maybe Memphis is a bit longer than we are. Rich, Triple J, Steven Adams, Zaire, Santi Aldana. I think they might be the longest team, but there's a lot of length there. Definitely. Rich, before we heading out, appreciate you stopping by, man. Really.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
And I'll just, Gerald?
Well, actually, I wanted to go ahead
Here.
and yes, I appreciate it. And we're going to make sure that at the very end you go ahead and plug anything that you need to plug, my friend. But Rich, before we head on out, I want to hear your prognostication on where in the Western Conference, what slot do you see? Where do you see Golden State ending up, and where do you see the Lakers ending up in the Western Conference this season?
Yeah, I don't mean to. I hope you don't hate me for this, but I just consciously don't want to be too dependent on predictions and stuff. I want to start embracing the unknown and how fun the unknown is. And I'm
We're
totally
recording this,
different
by
than
the way.
anybody else on that, right? Because that's part of NBA media is to make the predictions, and now you got online gambling, which is legalized and all of that. So that makes sense. But I've always been the contrarian, so
Of course.
let's just play ball and see what happens. And
Sounds good.
but the bottom line is we both have great respect for each other's franchises. And what's the other thing you were saying, Gerald?
No, that's basically, since you didn't want to go ahead and state exactly where, we could obviously respect
I
that.
literally don't even think about that. I just
But
clear my mind. Yeah.
no worries. But before we head on out, what you should have on your mind is all the different things that you're doing, all the great stuff that you're doing out there for Let's Go Warriors. So please, before we head on out, please let us know exactly what you're up to and where people can follow you and all that good stuff as far as what you're doing out there for Let's Go Warriors and more.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, basically it's on YouTube. Let's Go Warriors. Go find us there. And then we're gonna start doing like more daily coverage of news, hopefully. And we're gonna utilize our website, which is Substack, so it's subscription based. And then people who are paid subscribers, like $5 a month on Substack, like it is all across Substack. You're going to get access to a Discord channel, which private Discord channel, which we put everything that comes through the wire on that. So every day there's so much Warriors information that comes down the pipeline, just like it is for the Lakers. And then once you start following all the players on Instagram, you notice that there's even more. So all that all put together. And but the main thing is the main thing, which is YouTube, just like you guys. Let's Go Warriors on YouTube.
All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. It is Rich too. Please go ahead and be a part of what he's doing today on YouTube, Substack, and everything relating to Let's Go Warriors. And of course, follow him today like we just did at Poor Man's Commish on Twitter. Rich, great to have you here. Laker Tom, awesome to have you here. Laker Nick, any last thoughts, man? Appreciate you wanted to go ahead and say anything before we head on out, my friend?
No, Gerald. Just to thank Rich for his time. I know, time is valuable, and your insights were precious to the audience, and so thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. We could talk about this for days, right?
That we can.
We do.
It's fun.
Magic Man, since you set this up, I will give you the last words as always, my friend.
I'm very thankful and for Rich being gracious enough to come on here. He's got a busy channel himself, and great insights as always, man. Thank you. And we're doing. It's my intention to try and do a lot of pregame talk for Laker games. So if you're interested, Rich, we'd love to have you on again, and growing to become a friend of the channel, hopefully.
Yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to more great conversations with you during the course of the season, getting up to date on what's going on with the Golden State Warriors and making sure everybody out there in our audience knows that as well. So once again, it is Rich too. Please follow him today at Let's Go Warriors right there on YouTube. Subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when he goes live on the air with the latest Let's Go Warriors. And while you're in the mood for subscribing, go ahead and give us a subscribe as well. It is greatly appreciated. Again, for Laker Tom, Magic Man, Laker Nick, and Rich too, thank you so much to our awesome chat, the best Lakers chat room that's out there. To everybody on YouTube, we'll be back at 10 p.m. talking about the Lakers press conference that happened earlier today with Rob Pelinka and Darvin Ham. And we're going to try and weed through all the coach and GM speak, because a lot of hot air was distributed earlier this afternoon. We're going to try and go through it all to figure out what was real and what was not. Joe Soro will be with us as well. He might have a rant or two in store then, but we'll also talk about the LeBron James minicamp last weekend in San Diego. So we'll go ahead and talk about that as well. But for Magic Man, Laker Tom, Nick, and Rich, it's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you in a little while right here. Of course, thank you again to the Best Lakers chat room. And of course, we'll see you next time right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.